Welcome back to another exciting trip around the crypto canaverse. Today, we will be learning about the transformative power of plant medicine and the importance of building a community to help founders grow. But before we dive in, we're going to have Alan present the Bible verse for today. Hey, Alan, how's it going?
Great. Thanks, Crystal. Thanks for everyone for joining for our Crypto Cannabis Show. Today's Bible verse comes from Matthew's 7:13, and it says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enters through it. The verse Matthew 7:13 is a part of the teaching of Jesus in the New Testament. It is metaphorically contrast two paths, one that is narrow and leads to life, and another that is wide and leads to destruction. The narrow gate represents a challenging path that requires commitment and leads to eternal life, while the wide gate and broad road symbolizes the easier, more popular path that leads to spiritual ruin or destruction. This teaching emphasizes the importance of choosing the right path in life, which often may not be easiest or most popular one. The verse can be applied to founders building a business by emphasizing the importance of choosing the path that aligns to one's values and principles. Even if it is less traveled and more challenging for founders, this could mean pursuing integrity. Just as the narrow gate requires a commitment to disciplined path, founders should commit to integrity in their business practices. This includes honesty, fairness, ethical decision making, making thoughtful choices. The wide gate may represent the temptation to take shortcuts or make decisions that are not in the best interest of the company's long-term vision. Founders should carefully consider the implications of the choices and strive for sustainable growth. Focusing on quality, a narrow path suggests a focus on quality over quantity. For a business, this could translate to prioritizing the quality of the product or service offered rather than rapid expansion at the cost of standards. Building resilience. The narrow gate is indicative of a journey filled with challenges. Founders should build resilience to navigate the inevitable difficulties of starting and growing a business. Valuing their journey. The journey through the narrow gate is as important as the destination. Founders should value the process of building their business, learning from both success and failures. I want to open up to the audience and see if anyone has any insight on this verse, because I think we all been through various stages of our life in business. And I think the most important is, continue to value the journey and learn and absorb everything through either difficulties, you learn from it, through wins, you celebrate, because life is a journey. There's always ups and downs, but always, I would say, don't give up and trust in God and trust in the Lord that He will provide every step of the way.
Does anybody have any comments on this verse?
I dig it. I think it's important to really, kind of measure your experience through the wins and the fails and everything in between, and really consider, the entire journey. From everything from even just like a chance meeting someone and learning something new to experience to going out and exploring all the awesomeness that's out there. So yeah, I dig that, Alan. That was really good.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, I love that passage as well, and not just because it has my name in it, but I think the essence of that. If anyone out there I love the business bent that you kind of went with that at the end, Alan. And I think anyone who's running a business, anyone who's an entrepreneur, can resonate with the easy path compared to staying values aligned, staying focused on what it is you're truly trying to create, and not going for the next shiny object. So there's lots of shiny objects out there that are much easier to obtain.
I agree 100%. I've noticed that, just recently somebody reached out and was like, I can help you grow your social media accounts, to hundreds of thousands of followers within a short while. And I'm like, well, then I wouldn't know the quality I wouldn't know the followers. And I always have said no year after year. I would just rather grow it organically and have, a small amount of people that follow me that I know that I can reach out and say, hey, can you help me with this? Or, do you need this or whatnot? So I love that verse as well. Thank you, Alan. Do we have any other comments?
Yeah, I was going to say the same as well in terms of the application for business, but I think it's just in how we live our life, whether it's personally or professionally, is sometimes the easy path isn't the best path in terms of living a good, blessed, ethical life. And so making sure in everything that we do that we think about that lens in terms of the person that we want to be at the end of the day and how we want to be judged and thought about in terms of the aspect and impression we leave in the world.
Totally.
Absolutely. Our guest co-host today is none other than Rick Fitzgerald. He is a groovy guest co-host and the co-founder of Lazy Turtle Group, chief design officer at Merchant Boxes. His artistic flair has adorned projects for luminaries such as Brian Wilson's Beach Boys Smile, the Clio Cannabis Awards, and the Ray Charles Pure Genius Collection, just to name a few. Welcome, Rick.
Wow, thank you, Crystal. That was super nice. Yeah, well, good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so awesome. I'm glad that you could make it. I was just having brunch with your lovely wife last week, and we got to gossip a little bit about you. And she enlightened me about how you are an actual artist. I would love for you to tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's how I came into the world, just creating weird madness from just like a super young age. I've always loved to just make stuff and create stuff and make stuff up and try to put something out there that I had never seen before, at least. And yeah, so I came up in the fine arts. I got lucky. I grew up in the sticks in Virginia, and we had a great art department. Though we had there was a whole influx of back like in the 60s, hippies coming through our little country town, and a lot of folks stayed and established some really cool arts program in the middle of nowhere. So I was fortunate to kind of get some guidance from an early age, and kind of led me into how could I make a career out of this. And kind of hard to, it really is very difficult to make a career in the arts. So I kind of gravitated towards the commercial arts, something I knew that would be an interesting realm and was really coming up I came up in the 80s. So I kind of moved a little away from my fine arts and moved into the graphic arts, and it just took off. I got into everything you can imagine: branding, corporate identity, packaging, retail, really anything around graphic design. I really jumped into, and then video and filmmaking was kind of a back burner of that too. Another part that I don't talk about much, but that really the whole graphic design, the whole arts and commercial arts kind of scene really just formed my kind of artistic visions, and it gave me some basically some parameters to work within, which as a fine artist, there's no parameters. You do whatever you want, seriously. But within commercial realm, I had some parameters, and it really taught me how to be structured and taught me color theory and layout and balance and all kinds of amazing stuff that helps in and outside of the commercial art realm. So yeah, I came up through a career in packaging. I worked with a lot of really fun music bands and movies. Home entertainment was a big part of what I did. So yeah, I got exposed to a lot of really interesting things. Grateful Dead, worked on a lot of their special edition packaging and stuff like that. And then over the years with home entertainment, with everything streaming, packaging actually started falling to the wayside, and special edition packaging became more prevalent. But at that time, late 2000s, I really started to explore the cannabis realm, and Monique and I wanted to get out to the West Coast. Specifically, Los Angeles is where I've always wanted to live my whole life. So I made it, and yeah, just had a fun little career in packaging. And about, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago, Monique and I decided to step out of our world, seasoned attorney by trade, and we started Lazy Turtle Group, which is an idea generation and design company. Basically, we use it to develop our ideas, our creative ideas. And Virtual Boxes came along about 2 years ago. I helped found that little group, and sorry, I don't mean to be taking up that all the time. I don't want to say too,
No,
you know.
this is fantastic. I appreciate you elaborating and telling us, about your backstory. And I mean, you came up, so when you say Virginia, right? You said you were raised in Virginia. Are you talking about like in the woods, Virginia?
Yeah, in the woods, outside of Charlottesville, in a little Fluvanna County is where I grew up. And oddly enough, I met three Fluvanna Flucos, which is our nickname, in Los Angeles in the cannabis world. I actually
Wow.
knew that I knew, so they were younger than me, but I knew their families growing up. And so, yeah, little middle of nowhere. And loved coming out to Los Angeles and really expanding my world and getting to know Matt and yourself and now everyone on this call. Just been an amazing journey. I appreciate every little step of it. And now I'm getting back into my fine arts. I'm doing a couple pieces for some local Denver dispensaries to just try to get something out there and see if it resonates with anyone. So yeah, soon I'll let you know where they are. But
That would be
yeah,
fantastic. Is
yeah.
that the art? Is that your art behind you?
That's mine. These are really interesting. We just went to the Marijuana Mansion in Denver, just closed recently, which
I
stinks.
heard
But
about that.
yeah, they had a big estate sale, so we picked up these two. It's cannabis sativa and cannabis indica prints. I don't know where they come from. I gotta look them up. But yeah, so that's mine. I got some other stuff in the background. Oh, I'll show you this real quick. If we're gonna do this, let me show you something.
Yeah,
You guys
let's
will
see
dig.
it.
You'll dig it. This is I made this out of Sculpey. It's the Up in Smoke movie poster.
Uh-huh.
That is so cool.
Yeah, look, little Cheech and Chong. So yeah, I'm doing
That
all
is
kinds of
wild.
weird, interesting things. So that's one
That
I'm
is
gonna.
really interesting.
Yeah,
So
cool.
you moved from Virginia to LA and now you live in Denver. How's that going?
Oh man, yeah. Well, we went from LA to Palm Springs for 4 years just before COVID. And so yeah, it's been a transition. We've seen two snowstorms, hailstorm just a couple of days ago, loads of thunderstorms. I was in California for 15 years, so I lost my seasonal legs. I didn't know what a season was. And we literally in 2 months have experienced every season out there, plus a couple. But I love Denver. Monique and I both love Denver a lot. It's a great place. Colorado's a great place.
It sure is. I actually love it as well. I spent the last 5 years, well, so the last year I've spent here in Colorado. 5 years before that was in California. That's how I met y'all.
Yeah.
And then before that, it really doesn't really matter, but my favorite place so far has been Colorado. So I
No,
love California there, but there's no seasons. And I really love the seasons here in Denver.
I I have a feeling we'll eventually be back out in the desert, SoCal desert soon, or not soon, but at some point, I would love to be a snowbird and just jump from here to there every year, and just 6 months out of the year be in a different place. Because I mean, Joshua Tree and all that magic out there, just really, I mean, it flipped the script for Monique and myself moving out to LA first of all, but then to the desert. There's just some mystical energies out there that really helped us kind of fine tune our ideas and actually just start generating more ideas, which we hadn't done for a long time. Both of us working in the corporate world didn't leave us a lot of time to ourselves. So, that whole desert changed our life, and I'm really thankful for having that experience. So yeah, eventually I want to get back to both realms for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when you say our life, you guys have been married for what? Eons. How many?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're coming up on like 26 or 27 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Before we move on, I would like to know what is the most what's a famous person that you've worked with that and did you like it? Like, what's the most famous person you liked working with, I guess?
That's a relatively easy one, because I would say Garth Brooks is
Oh,
probably
really?
one of the nicest people on the planet. Um, and not like I hung out with him or anything, but
Right.
worked directly and indirectly with him a lot of times on his albums. And I remember my boss went to a meeting with them, and his plane was late, so he didn't get into the meeting till, I don't know, it was like 30 minutes late. And he walked in, he kind of crept in, and no one even acknowledged him. Like, no one said, hey, no one stopped their conversation, no one acknowledged him. And Garth Brooks stopped the meeting and stood up, went and introduced him to everyone's table, got him some coffee, got him a donut, and it
Wow.
was just awesome. Yeah,
What a
good dude.
gentleman.
Yeah, totally.
I
That
love
was
that.
for the
Gentleman. Great music.
Yeah, I'm a
oh,
huge
and
Garth Brooks fan.
sorry, what was that?
So I'm a huge Garth Brooks fan. That was actually my dad, like literally his doppelganger. Like everyone called him Garth Brooks because he always would wear a cowboy hat or whatever, and he kind of had like the same face. And people were like, "You look like Garth Brooks." Like I literally have heard that 10,000 times from growing up.
Oh, I love that. And it's
Yeah.
good that you did Garth Brooks too, because that would be tough if you didn't.
I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so we, I mean, 50% of the stations are all country where I'm from. So
Yeah, you were just up the street from me. I know that for sure. Well, that particular Garth Brooks album was the Chris Gaines. I don't know if anyone remembers his Chris Gaines character. He did an album. He was going to do a movie about it. He's an interesting dude because he he plays these characters. His country persona is called the cowboy. His rock persona was going to be Chris Gaines, which was that release that he was so nice to my boss at. But outside of that, he was just totally a regular dude. Like you would never even ever know that he was the person he was. And great
I
music. I
love
love
that.
his tunes.
Yeah, I love it when you meet someone and they're not, who you think that they would have been, right? They're down to earth, they're just nice going, they want to help everyone. Some of the nicest, wealthiest people I've ever met, has worn just like regular down to earth clothes, and you wouldn't know that they've had tons of success because they're just so polite and well mannered, and those are the best people, aren't they?
They are the best people. I love those people. I think that, I mean, I hope it's not rare, but I feel it's a little bit rare. Um,
It is. It is, unless you're in the inner circle, right?
dig it,
then,
right?
then everyone's awesome. Yeah, everyone's
Yeah,
awesome.
then everyone's awesome.
So I want to take a moment to introduce Davina. Davina is the co-founder of Element Apothic. She's a very dear friend, and I would like her to chat for a minute about her company.
Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. And thanks for having me back again today. So Element Apothic, we're a wellness brand sitting on the verge of biotech, meaning that we really look more for the innovations in science and plant-based medicine in terms of the products that we create, all supported by research and education. So we have an education platform around cannabinoids for consumer health, but we're expanding that to plant-based medicine as well. My co-founder is an integrative pharmacist. We have a whole medical advisory board. And we understand in this space that there's really a lack of knowledge from the practitioner's perspective in terms of how they can approach plant-based medicine and integrative medicine. So it's one of our goals is partnering with healthcare practitioners, educating them, helping them to have more continuity of care with their patients as they understand the different products and nutraceuticals and supplements and things that are plant-based that patients are incorporating. We also as well work in the vertical of retail and direct to consumer as well. So it's been an exciting journey. We've been around for 5 years now, which is beyond me that we've lasted through this amount of time, launched during COVID. But such an exciting space to be in. And I think the future of plant-based medicine really has significant opportunity to help people with the quality of their life. I've seen it. My great aunt actually started the products way back when she was sick, multiple medical conditions, autoimmune diseases, created these formulations, and then we took it from there. My mom has went from 30 something pills a day to just 4 pills a day using our products and other plant-based ingredients. And my dad utilized plant-based medicine, cannabis as a Vietnam vet. So as a child, I saw the benefits of this, and now seeing the impact that we have on people's life has just been absolutely incredible.
Amazing. I love Element. I met you, and I can't remember the guy's name at like MJ BizCon 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? Maybe when you first launched, you were in like a hotel suite,
Yeah.
and I came up and talked to you. I still have my little samples actually, but yeah, I love what you're doing, and all that is just so important.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember meeting you as well. We were just launched, and David Crowther's our COO who does all of our marketing and branding and manufacturing logistics stuff. But yeah, it's been quite a journey. We're actually launching a mushroom CBD coffee for gut health next month, which we're super excited about. We've sampled it and got great reviews, and then launching a vegan gummies with healthy sugar, with apple sugar actually, which is kind of cool because it has no glycemic load. And then also some capsules and soft gels as well in the remainder of the year. So busy times ahead for us.
Yeah, very
Awesome.
cool. What type of mushrooms are you guys using in your CBD blend?
It's lion's mane and reishi, and then we're also using inulin and mesquite as well for the gut health too.
Awesome. Love to see it.
And we've sampled it, and we've been told it's better than Rise, which is one of the more popular mushroom coffees. And when we sampled it, we had people bringing back full cups to take samples because they would go to the coffee bar and bring back full cups. They're like, we have more. I'm like, sure. So yeah, we're super excited about it and look forward to getting that out there.
Yeah. What's your best-selling product currently? I'm curious.
Right now we have two, 'cause we have topicals. On the topical side, we have our transdermal patch, which is for pain. And what's cool is we actually work with the manufacturer that used to do opiate patches, has patents on the delivery mechanism, but decided to be good citizens and move away from opiate patches. So that's our best on that side. And then for our tinctures, we have a tincture called Be Well, which has CBD, CBG, CBN, turmeric, peppermint, lemon, and lime for general wellness. And that's our top seller on that side. We are looking next year, though, to launch comparable products without cannabinoids, because currently all of them have cannabinoids. But as we work with more practitioners, some of them still are just not comfortable with it. So we'll be launching parallel versions, and we're in the research process now of ingredients that we can use to replace the benefits of the cannabinoids.
Interesting. Very cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about the doctors and things that you were trying to, or that you are working with.
Yeah, so right now we have different kind of functions of doctors that we work with, from pain management to oncologists, neurologists. We have some OB-GYNs that we support as well. But it's something we're actually talking with a larger opportunity to be able to educate several thousand doctors across the US around plant-based medicine and cannabinoids, utilizing our course and other stuff that we have. And so that will expand the function of the doctors that we'll be looking to. work with, but really, again, trying to help them think about it more from an integrative approach in terms of the way that they work with their patients and the types of, potentially products that they recommend for them to use. And we feel that that will then, start to create a larger shift in just a general society of the acceptance of plant-based medicine when it's coming from doctors instead of just coming from a person trying to research it by themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah, really important, especially too. I mean, so many people are suffering right now, and the medications that they're taking continue to cause so many more negative symptoms, which I saw with my mom. She was deteriorating, and every new medication caused two more medications. And if they can really think about it from an integrative approach, it doesn't necessarily take away the need for Western medicine. It just helps manage and have them have a better opportunity with the true medicines that they need, and then not the flurry of other medicines that are there just to manage those symptoms from that specific medication.
Completely. Yeah, I would say plant medicine really saved my life. I've been racked with pains. I've been a little daredevil my whole life. So I've busted myself up a little bit, and that leads to some crazy stuff, unfortunately, and pain medicines and stuff like that. And cannabis in particular from the start, and then other plant medicines were just a huge help for me. I literally don't take any medication at all anymore. I can manage it all with, mainly with my head now, which is the best way, ultimately to combine, things that can help your physical and your chemical state, and then your mind can really take over a lot of other stuff. So yeah, I mean, what you're doing is so important, Davina. I really appreciate it and dig it. And there's so many folks out there that can learn from all of us, and really change their life. I mean, 100%. My life is so different from 10 years ago, and even more so from 5 years ago. And I attribute it a lot to this community and the amazing natural wellness things that are out there, that the plant medicines and everything. But yeah, it's been incredible. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And I actually have an interesting project that I'll catch up with you on the side. I can't say anything about it right now, I'm under NDA, but I would love to chat with you a little bit about that, like in the next week or so. So I'll reach out to you outside of this.
Sounds
But
amazing.
yeah, dig that, and thank you for like rocking this stuff.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Davina, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Davina, it seems, well, it doesn't seem you are. You're doing everything that you can correctly. You're going through doctors, you're formulating your products through doctors. You've even won the Clean Award. There's so many things that you're doing, but what is the biggest struggle being a female founder, in the cannabis industry? Or actually industry.
Any industry. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the biggest for us has been the lack of funding, that we've just not been able to get access to funding that similar companies have had access to. And so it's, we're growing. I say we're like the little engine that could. We just keep going. We've managed obviously to stay here today and continue to grow, but we haven't been able to grow in the ways that I have wanted us to. And it's been a lot of work, but we won't give up. I would say that's the biggest. And then, in different circles, just taken seriously for what we're actually trying to accomplish. And, we have to work just a little bit harder to get it, our space in the room or at the table. But it's something I'm used to my whole life, my whole career. I actually started out in astronautical engineering and worked at JPL. And my first mentor told
Ooh,
me, as a woman, it's going to be possible for you ever to be a team lead. That's the first thing I heard when I was 20. And so I realized that, the path ahead for me meant a little bit more work, but you just you have to prove yourself a little bit harder. At every pitch, I have to answer more financial questions than any male has to answer. I found that to be quite interesting and validate our opportunity more than just the team that we have. So there's challenges like that, but just learning how to overcome them, and try to continue to push forward to bring the products that we have to the market to help people with their lives.
Mhm. Yeah, I work with a lot of women leaders, and I find most of them are, as capable or more capable than a lot of men that I know as far as leadership qualities and leadership, development and embodied leadership development, right? So I'm just curious, what's one of the main qualities you feel like you developed as being a woman leader?
I think perseverance is probably the biggest thing of just being able to continue pushing through no matter whatever challenges, and being able to not take everything so personally. You
Right.
have to be really strong in your confidence of what you know and what you're doing, and push through despite the challenges that you face. But I would say just having that perseverance to push forward and kind of let things roll off you a little bit, not take everything with so much personal intention.
Hmm. That's important. Can't take anything too personally, especially in business when it's, talk about nuts and bolts, ROI, stuff like that. It's like, well, can't take it personally. It's gotta come from a grounded standpoint and a logical standpoint when it comes to money and investing and stuff. So,
And I think too, I mean, one of the things, and I've mentored other women, is just being, really knowing your business, right? Like you need to know your financials, you need to know the in and outs, you need to know your marketing, your ROI, like really understanding your business. So when you are asked about it, you can sit at the table, you can answer the questions, and maybe even have better understanding than some of your other colleagues in other businesses might have. And it's important, anyways, to understand your business to that detail to really be a successful leader and be able to accomplish the things that you want to.
mm,
You're so inspirational. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate what you're doing for our community. And, you're changing the stigma of plant medicine, which I applaud you for. And I just want to mention that, women generally get about 1.9% of VC money. So it's extremely low. If you are an investor out there, or if you can be a partner in some way to Davina, please reach out. And that would be wonderful. Thank you, Davina, so much for joining us today and telling us your story. We appreciate you. Moving on to Mr. Matthew Ritchie. Matthew Ritchie is our guest speaker. He is the author of The Elevated Executive and the founder of The Inner Circle, which is a plant-based community for leaders and innovators within plant-based. um, Matt has been, his team building skills. Matt, your team building skills have, been utilized by big names like Facebook and Airbnb. Now, how did you get into plant-based medicine?
yeah, it seems like worlds away from when you think about Airbnb or Facebook or any other large startup corporation. Plant-based medicine now is starting to make that crossover, and you see more and more people utilizing it or being open to having psychedelic experiences and all that. But me personally, plant-based or plant medicine specifically was a game changer for me. I didn't grow up using cannabis. I think I used it twice when I was like 13, and then I got into racing motocross, and I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't smoke cannabis, do anything until well, I didn't drink alcohol until I was 21, and I didn't use cannabis until I was 27. So got a little late to the game, but when I did consume it, it fully opened my eyes to some repressed memories that I had, and it really kind of unlocked my unconscious thoughts around certain things around myself, just my whole life, right? So kind of that opened the door, and then a large dose psilocybin trip, and then a guided ayahuasca ceremony were really helping me to kind of integrate some of those lessons and integrate some of the trauma that I'd experienced, and really forgive myself. I think most trauma is forgiving ourselves and forgiving and letting go of whatever was causing us pain, whatever was giving us that trauma, right? So for me, plant medicine is tremendous in the sense that it really gave me a new sense of life, in a sense that I was not the leader I am today. In a lot of ways, I was very unconfident, very unsure of myself, and very, how should we say, reserved and like shy. And, you don't see many leaders that have those qualities, right? And that wasn't necessarily my goal was to be a great leader, but my goal was I knew there was more of me that I got to put out there. There was more of me to show, and I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know what was even holding me back. And I was so thankful to have stumbled upon. I literally stumbled upon cannabis. I was hiking. I'm from Pennsylvania, and back in 2010, good friend of mine, we went by, backpacked, went to go camping overnight in the mountains, and literally crossed one other group of people to a couple, and they offered us a nugget of cannabis, and we didn't have anything to smoke it out of, so we're like, oh, we'll just take an apple. They gave us an apple and a nugget of cannabis. And so that evening, after we made our fire, we had these amazing views, like, surrounded by nature. We have this, little ceremony with cannabis, and it like completely just opened my eyes. And I never felt more connected to this friend that I'd known for 15 plus years. I never felt more connected to nature. I never really felt more connected to myself. So after that experience, I was like, maybe there's something to this, because I grew up in the Dare era in Pennsylvania, where cannabis was equivalent to heroin, and any drugs that were any drugs were just bad, right? Anything that was, but alcohol was okay, but drugs are bad. So I had that whole programming, and even after moving to California, I saw people who were using cannabis, but I was like, I'm gonna stick to my alcohol. So from like 21 to 27, I drank a lot of alcohol, and then as soon as I had cannabis, I'm like, oh, started tuning me into my body. So now for the last almost 12, 13 years, I really don't drink alcohol. I basically tapered that off, and I don't, my body doesn't enjoy alcohol. My mind doesn't enjoy alcohol, so I don't really consume that. But point being, I got introduced to cannabis, and that really kind of opened up some new neural pathways of what was driving me, all the unconscious drivers that were working unconsciously to move me in certain directions, to have certain jobs, to date certain people, and all that. So for me, having plant medicine kind of unlock all that was not only life-changing, but I could see the power, like say, that it was having on other people's lives. So as you mentioned, I worked with Airbnb and Facebook. We had a startup from 2014 through 2018 that we did. Basically, we did executive coaching and transformational experiences for teams, so that we could basically get them more connected, get them communicating better, and then give them practices for a more healthy life, mind, body, spirit connection, if you will. So we, my business partner at the time, he was from, or he was living up in the Bay Area there, and he was just a really great networker, and just got connected with amazing people. And like I say, we got a chip in a chair. Like I said, if you ever want to see Rounders, like you get a chip in a chair, you get to play at the table. So we got a seat to have some experiences with first Facebook, or first Airbnb, then Facebook. Airbnb was back in 2016. We did an activation for like 250 of their employees, and we ended up doing a program with some of their executives. And then we got into Facebook and did something similar, where we did an activation for about 100 employees, and then we did a 90-day test program for executives that were experiencing stress. We'll just say that. And then pretty much once we got in there, we realized that everyone was experiencing high levels of stress, and that's a very interesting company. But anyway, we did some. Yeah, it's an interesting culture. Airbnb had a really interesting culture, because they initially, I don't know if anyone knows the story of Airbnb. Brian, the founders, it was very like built around that culture, kind of that Silicon Valley sort of, it's a very interesting culture, but it didn't scale well. And that's one of the things we helped, they could bring us in, is like, how do we get back to that culture? How do we get those people connected again? How do we get those people to like each other and want to work together again, and de-stress their lives, right? I think that's one of the hardest things to scale as a business owner. How do you scale culture, right? How do you get that to go from, if you have a startup of even 50 people, right? How do you get, how do you scale from 5 people to 10 people? How do you scale from 10 people to 50? And then how do you go from 50 to, hundreds, or if not thousands of people? It's almost impossible to keep the same culture. But we went in and did some work with them. I in 2018, then me and my wife got pregnant, and like I say, backing up even 6 months further, I didn't know if I actually wanted to have kids. And I sat with about a 3-gram dose of psilocybin, and sat in the woods with some men that I knew were kind of holding space, and they were doing their own thing. But after that 3-hour experience, I was just lit up and really excited to actually have kids. And then within like 3 months, we were pregnant. And then so that sort of shifted my journey again. After I knew my daughter was coming. That business I was in, it was awesome. We did some really great stuff, but I just knew it wasn't aligned for me long term, what I really wanted to do. But when my daughter came, I basically was saying, hey, I'm going to take 3 months off. I had never really taken any time off from work. Being a high drive entrepreneur, we're always doing something, had projects we're working on. But I took 3 months off, which felt like a long time. And my daily meditations kept bringing back to everything that I've been doing, everything that I've been learning and implementing was needed in the plant medicine space. I had some friends who were in CBD and cannabis, and they were just pretty jaded by all the the bad deals were going on, and just all the bad actors were coming through, and all the low integrity experiences they were having. So fast forward to the beginning of 2019, I started just to host some small little masterminds here in Southern California, in San Diego, getting connected with people in space, realizing what the pain points were, and everyone had the same kind of top three pain points: marketing, banking, and low integrity, like low trust people. Like those are the three main things that everyone in some form or fashion had a challenge with. So long story short is me and my business partner were going to launch the very first CBD nootropic product. And in doing that, we need to have our own inner circle of people to work with, our own strategic partnerships. So anyway, my business partner, he's been running that direct consumer brand for the last 4+ years. It's done really, really well. And in the, on the side of that, I've been building out our B2B community of people. So it's kind of been an interesting transition going from, working with larger tech companies to then now working with pretty much small businesses and like mom and pop solopreneurs and that kind of stuff. And completely honest, I wouldn't go back. I don't love big corporate, bureaucracies and all the stuff that it takes to really get anything done in those things. That's one of the reasons I opted out of that whole project, because it was just a lot of work to get one contract. And then after one contract, you still have to like fight for your next one. You have to do everything. So it's like, it's a whole game that I wasn't really interested in playing. And I really wanted to kind of set my own parameters, work with the type of people that I wanted to work with. And so we've basically been, we launched in the middle of the pandemic as well, or at the very beginning of the pandemic. Our product launch was literally February 2020. So we launched that and everything went really well because everything was online and people were thinking about their health and worrying about how they can get better sleep and be more, immune healthy. So that business did really well. But of course, then the Inner Circle, which we were hosting in-person events, and that's actually where I met Rick was one of our very first events in Bel Air. This was October 2019 when we first got connected, Rick.
Yep.
My business partner, he'd been in the space for a while. Like I said, he had some really great connections, one of them being our mutual friend, Judd, who has a really great home in Bel Air. He's been one of our founding members now for the last 4+ years. We're actually hosting another mastermind there June 6th here coming up. So he's very gracious in letting us to use his space and bring good people together. But the Inner Circle, we had to pause for 2 full years. Of course, we didn't have any in-person events because COVID, and everyone was very, we'll say, scared to gather in a room together. Which, looking back, it sounds a little silly, but everyone is. It was an interesting time to be alive. Basically, 2022, February 2022, we got back to in-person events, and since then we've been hosting events about every other month here, somewhere in the U.S. Like I say, we were actually in Denver last year, Austin as well, Washington D.C. This year, we've been mainly in Southern California because that's where a majority of our members are at, but we'll be in New York and New Jersey later this fall as well, since we have a bunch of members coming up in those newly regulated states. So my journey to plant medicine has kind of been a long one, but it's been really interesting to come to this point now where I'm very fortunate to be able to choose the people we work with, choose our members that we allow in. It's a vetted community. Like I say, I have one-on-one conversations with people before we even allow them or even talk about allowing them into membership. Because we want to keep that closeness, that trust factor, right? So we only have about 80 members. It's a smaller group, and everyone knowing, everyone when they come to the events or they come to these online, masterminds we host or anything, when they meet someone from the Inner Circle, they know that they've been vetted. They know they can trust them. There's like this openness. There's this connection. And that's really what everyone wants, right? We want to work with people that we're excited to work with, that have high integrity, that have similar values. That like I say, show up and do what they say they're going to do in the time they say they're going to do it, right? So that's essentially what we've been building, this circular economy of people in the CBD, cannabis, and now psychedelic space that are now working together, strategically, aligning in partnerships. And our goal is to have about 300 members worldwide in all the emerging markets, so that we can connect people, like I say, create strategic partnerships, so we can get the best products, the best services out into the space, and so we can educate people. I heard that earlier. Like that's the biggest. Daveen was talking about that. That's the biggest untapped market, is new consumers that are don't want to either smoke something or don't want to get high. They want to have a better life experience, whether that be less pain or more focus or just less stress, right? So I think there's a huge untapped market, and we're looking to empower the entrepreneurs who are creating products and services that are not only educating people but also creating, we'll say, healthier consumption experiences, so people can have so we can tap into that market of that large demographic of people who would never smoke something or who would never consider regular cannabis. So.
Man, that's awesomeness. Sorry, I'm just jumping in. Your journey is well. I've always dug your journey. It's an authentic one, and it's an organic one, and it's an honest one. And I think for me, I came like from Virginia to LA, and just kind of jumped right into the cannabis scene for medicinal purposes initially, but obviously meeting folks along the way, it kind of got my my creative energies going. I thought maybe I could help with some branding and some packaging and stuff like that in that realm. But to your point, Matt, it's a really interesting and difficult space to navigate. Um, and I've met a lot of bad players. I've met a lot of amazing players, but a lot of bad players too. And it's hard to figure out a lot of times who someone is, for a good while, even sometimes. And I'm not saying that every bad player is a bad person. They're navigating however they navigate, and they've got their own intentions. I don't mean to put any like evilness on any person in that realm, but
I think everyone's doing the best they can with the information they have available. I generally believe that. I think most people are just doing the best that they can for, like, say, provide for their family, do whatever they need to do. Most people are not ill-intentioned, don't have evil in them. So sorry to
I
interrupt
love
you.
that. No, that's a great way to say it. That's kind of what I wanted to get at. So thank you. But what you've done with the with the leadership ideas and everything that you've done with the inner circle and the things that with Judd and stuff like that have just been they've been so needed in this space, and also to incorporate the entire business realm in that, and how to navigate the business realm socially, which I think is a really important part that you've really brought a lot of attention to, is vital. It's we go to work, if we work for a company or work for ourselves, we're usually around some other people, and it's difficult to navigate that scene. Sometimes you've got all kinds of different energies coming from every different direction. So I think it's important to focus on mental health in the business realm, and it's vital. I mean, we've ignored it for so long. We ignore things, or we pretend like we didn't hear things, or whatever, and it's not an easy space to navigate. It's just anytime you're surrounded by a bunch of humans, it gets complicated. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and I can't wait for you to come back to Denver, because I absolutely will get out there. Matt I wanted to go to a lot of his events, but I was in Palm Springs, which is 2 hours, and I'm older, so I can't see that great at night anymore. And it was a hard drive for me, Matt. I'm sorry I couldn't get out to one of those, but I'm looking forward to it. When and if you get to Denver again, I would be curious, as a final question to my little commentary here, is are you planning to come to Denver anytime soon, or anywhere in Colorado? Colorado.
I really wish we would. I go where it's like path of least resistance to a certain degree. Like, we get so much energy from certain places, so I just go there. So we're partnering. We're hosting one here in June here in LA again, and then we're partnering with a group called District 216. I don't know if you know Jacob Tell and those guys up in Santa Barbara. They have a psychedelic community they've been building. They've been hosting events, multiple events weekly, and they have a whole. But they're more education and consumer side and that kind of thing. And they're looking, and of course they have practitioners or business people up there that are looking to. They need this support. So anyway, we're partnering with them. We're going to be in Santa Barbara. So the point being, I'm going to where the people are really, magnetized to what we're talking about, which, not to say people in Denver aren't. We have members in Denver, Jess Cranny and a bunch of other people in Denver area. So I'd like to get back there. I just need to make it make sense from a business standpoint to make it out there for another event. But you'd mentioned about connecting with people and meeting the right people. And everyone tells me that. Everyone, everyone, kind of loves the events we host because they're very intimate. The masterminds we host are 20 people or less. So it gives people a chance to connect, and it gives time for everyone to have a hot seat and really get to know other people's business and what they're doing. But what we're really excited about is about 50% of our new members over the last year are women, right? So percentage wise in this industry, I don't know what the percentage, I don't know, maybe someone could tell me, but I bet you it's less than 20% of people in this industry are women. So considering we're doing 50% of our new members are women, that just goes to show you who's willing to ask for help and who's out there actually wanting community. Not to say the men aren't. I'm sure there are. I mean, we have men, of course, but men in general are less likely to ask for help and or want to be a part of something where they're I don't say, not to say that the leader or the alpha, but if they're one of the same people, that I find a lot of alpha type men don't want to step into those containers for whatever reason, and there's no judgment. And I've been a part of tons of different masterminds, different containers of people doing different things. But my point being, I'm loving seeing women step up, and we love supporting, honestly, 'cause I feel like women have better leadership qualities innately than men do. And most men don't like hearing that, but most women are naturally a better leader. So to be able to work with something that's already, a couple steps ahead is kind of fun for me to see where they're at, to see how we can really bring some amazing women and help their companies so they can, make the impact in whatever they're doing in this industry. So
Love that.
Comments? Questions?
I just want to say I think it's incredible what you're doing, because there really does need to be the coming together of the people in the industry and plant-based medicine to help support each other, to help lead the way in terms of the best strategies for business, and having these small groups and masterminds allow that to happen. I am curious, because I know you said that you have a vetting process. Are there specific things that you look for within the group, or specific skill sets, or is it kind of broad in terms of the people that are accepted in?
great question. We, of course, we have some stipulations, mainly, and this is more my superpower. Within about I do a 30-minute conversation, one-on-one conversation with everybody, and within 30 minutes, I'm really good at being able to. I'm a really good bullshit meter, and I'm really good just intuitive connection meter with people. And we're mainly looking for values alignment. That's number one. Are you a good human? Do you have a sort of a pay it forward mentality? Are you a rising boat, a rising tide lifting all ships together type of person, right? Because that's who we're looking for. We're looking for people who, of course, want to win and want to make money and have a business, but they want to pay it forward, maybe in a certain degree, as far as their genius or their expertise, or even work with other people who are wanting that, right? So we look for that first, and then from there, we're not gonna bring in. We don't have 80 graphic designers, or we don't have 80 people doing the same thing. So we have a diversity of people doing different things, so we can have that circular economy. So when you come in as a new member, if you need attorney work, or if you need graphic design work, or if you need whatever, marketing, SEO, there's obviously so many ancillary businesses that we need to support our businesses in this industry that are unique to this industry. We're looking to then support all those types of businesses and in different locales, right? So different locations. So certain people in Southern California only work with brands in California, and then other places on the East Coast, they're looking to work with new and upcoming markets in those areas. So values alignment number one, skills and what you do number two, and then geographically kind of number three, if that breaks it down at all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that question, Davina. I was actually going to ask that question, so you beat me to it.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, that's I do that as an initial thing, and of course we do a little, Google and a few searches, and just even we're always taking notes of things we're seeing in the industry, of course, and people talking about this and that, and we have something called our blacklist, which we don't publish, but if people are members and they say, hey, I'm going to go partner with this, or I have a new vendor for this, and I want to make sure they're not on the blacklist, right? So we have a whole system to keep our members safe, and keep us accountable, right? So if someone messes up and does something completely out of integrity or completely immoral, then we can internally at least keep our members safe. We're not, like I say, we're not looking to libel people. We're not looking to shake the industry up or anything like that in a sense, but we want to protect our members, and we want to make sure that everyone's doing business, keeping a high integrity with their business that they're doing with people in our inner circle. So
that's actually shaking the
Dig that.
industry up. Yeah, I have to say that that's like shaking the industry up, and rising the industry up, because the cannabis industry, psychedelic industry, they get such negative comments, and people thinking that it's one way or another, and then there's those bad actors out there that bring us down and don't follow through with what they say they're going to do, don't walk the talk, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is like, if you tell me you're going to do something, do it. Otherwise, I will put you on a list as well. I have a nice Excel spreadsheet where I will get big forgiver. Don't get me wrong. Like, you get multiple chances, but if it's something like, lying or being deceitful or something, it's really hard to come back from that unless you apologize. Then we can think about it.
say forgiveness, and everyone, like, say, I'm like I said, I truly believe generally people are doing the best they can with the information they have available. So I'm always able and open to, like say, that forgiveness or that second chance, so to speak. But even if, like say, I'm always keeping track. It's not even being immoral. Sometimes it's just incompetent, and we don't want to work with incompetent people either. We can't have a successful business if I have pieces of my chain that are incompetent, or you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So even people who are just ghost you or don't reply in a timely manner, all that stuff, like we keep track of all that, right? We're you know we're we're just, like I say, we're making it so everyone gets to show up as their best, so everyone can have that container. And we call it calling people up. We're not calling people out, we're calling people up. Like, hey, like, this is how you showed up, this is how we expect you to show up. If that's not the expectation we can all hold, then maybe we don't work together, or maybe whatever, right? So anyway, integrity is the number one value that we look for, and that shows up in a lot of different ways. But even just like say timeliness and your word, as far as the timeline in which you do things, like that's hugely important. And a lot of people don't think about that, like, oh, I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that. Like, well, there's no excuses. A great leader, an elevated executive is proactive. We're doing things, we're not reactive, right? So yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Proactive, not reactive. It's so powerful. Rick, you had a comment?
No, I mean, I'm all about that. It's there's a lot of folks that are, have run to this realm and continue to explore this realm from a business standpoint or whatever reason. There's just a huge influx of all kinds of different folks, and some of them, can deliver what they say, and some of them can't, and it's sometimes hard to figure that out. Who can really deliver? Again, sometimes even way down the road, you might find out, oh, seriously, it's just, I thought all this was going to happen, and then nothing did happen. So it's hard in that realm. I really dig what you're doing in that space, Matt, to really bring, and Crystal too. I mean, what you're doing here with this right here is just bringing folks together. And it just kind of, that leads to another thing that I love about what you're both doing is education. Certainly there's education about the plant, but there's a lot of education about just general life things. If someone comes into the startup industry and wants to, I don't know, create a product, they probably don't know how to get it designed, or how to market it, or how to package it, or how to, the legal implications around it, financial implications around it, the scientific, all that stuff. So to have groups like, you know, have sessions like the masterminds and the inner circle, and places where you really have, an amazing vetted collection of, I don't like the word experts, because I don't think we ever become an expert in our life at anything. It's too vast to be an expert, but a really good at what you do person is important. And to come into a space like that you've set up, to have that huge library of all this amazingness from every angle, that education to each other is, to me, really important. I'm fortunate that Monique, my partner in business and life, is an attorney, so she literally, any legal question, I can just be like, hey. But most people don't have that. But to have a group like that really captures every angle of business and life is just magic. So, applaud what you're doing. I dig it. And I just want to see that magic grow, continue to grow, and filled with good people that have good intentions in this particular space of plant medicine, which is really important to have good intentions in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I think it's hugely important. I think integrity and intentions are paramount. They're not everything, but it's where we start. And we do as far as education, I agree. That's obviously educating people on how to be better leaders and how to communicate better. Those are things I do in general. But we're doing, like say, Inner Circle is one thing. We've been naturally or organically doing these psychedelic salons here in San Diego as well. So as I mentioned, we have a bunch of people in our membership who are in the psychedelic space and really and moving into different outside of cannabis and CBD. So we're hosting more education based around psychonauts and newbies coming together, and what that looks like, and how people can even, if you want to get in the business side, or if you want to get into just know more about psychedelics, we're just doing these little education. They're like very, very magnetic right now. Like everyone wants to be a part of them. And it's interesting because it's just a side thing that one of our members started here, and I've kind of helping them kind of grow. And it's really interesting to see the magnetism towards plant medicine overall and just alternative healing is really what it comes down to. Everyone has some sort of something they want to heal from, whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual, and they're looking for alternative ways to do it because they're realizing that the pharmaceutical companies don't provide any kind of real healing. They're treating symptoms. So
Fantastic. Well, it's time for us to wrap up. I appreciate you guys all for coming. Where can our audience reach out and connect with you at, Matt?
innercircle.biz is our website, or Matt at innercircle.biz. You of course find me on LinkedIn as well, Matt Ritchie. My photos should look similar to this, so if you see that, you'll know it's me. But yeah, those are my two main ways to get in contact. So I don't really use any other social platforms that much. So
Thank you for sharing that. And Rick, where can our audience get in touch with you?
I'm the opposite.
Oh no, you're frozen.
So directly, are Rick at merchantboxes.com or Rick at lazyturtlegroup.com. I've got an Instagram at Hillbilly Wandering. Lazy Turtle Group is on Instagram. My puppy Soki line is on Instagram. Our business, Monique and I's cannabis travel platform, Indica with 2 N's, is on Instagram at Indica. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm all over the place. You'll get sick of me if you look me up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Miss Davina.
Yeah, so you can go to elementapothic.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, but my messages tend to back up. I'm trying to still figure out how to manage the influx of crazy marketing messages every day, but you can find me on there, or Davina at elementapothic.com for my email.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for being here, everyone. Alan, are you there? Did Alan fall off?
He was jumping on and off for a little bit.
I suppose so. Russ, would you like to close in prayer?
I can do it.
Woohoo, putting you on the spot. Love it. Thank
All right.
you.
If everyone wants to bow their heads, dear gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time together among friends and business owners. Changed. We just thank you for even just the opportunity to do this and live in a nation where it's still possible. And we just honor you with our days as we go out into the world. And thank you again, Lord, for this time. In Jesus' my name, amen.
Amen.
Dig it.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you for hosting us, Crystal. We really appreciate you being the leader of the conversation.
You are most welcome. Thank you.